Shabbat Shalom. There's a beautiful law with deep nuance and insight that's taught connected to a mitzvah in our Torah portion this week. The mitzvah is that of the first fruits. A farmer, upon seeing the first fruits ripen on the branches of the tree, they would bring those first fruits to Jerusalem as an offering. That's the ritual. And they would bring them in a vessel of sorts. You couldn't just carry the fruits, you would put them in a vessel. And a farmer who was more wealthy would bring a golden or a silver vessel, and a farmer who was less wealthy would bring it in a woven, more simple vessel. And the law states it in the Talmud, that when the fruits were brought in a simple vessel, the vessel was kept. The basket was kept. When the fruits were brought in a golden or silver vessel, the vessel was returned to the farmer. And the question is why? That's a bit counterintuitive, because the person who brought the woven vessel, they don't have the means. Maybe it's the only vessel they own. Why is that kept? And the one who brings in the golden vessel, shouldn't that be what's kept? They can afford it clearly. What's happening? So there's a beautiful insight that's taught by Rabbi David of Tulna, the great Hasidic master. And one thing that these Hasidic rebbes would do is that they would go around from town to town. Their followers would come see them. And part of the purpose of the visit was to give blessings. And another purpose of each visit was to raise money for charity. As the Hasidim, as the followers would bring money, would bring offerings to the Rebbe. And one time he went to a town and he said, when one of my poorer Hasidim, when one of my followers who was impoverished, when he heard I was coming, he got so excited, the Rebbe's coming to town, the Rebbe's coming to... But then he became a bit upset and despondent, and his wife said, well, why aren't you just filled with joy? He said, because there's an expectation that you bring some money and that the Rebbe distributes that money to charity. Every follower has to contribute a little bit, and I don't have money. And his wife said, well, don't worry, we'll figure something out. I'll bake something, you'll be able to sell it, and then with that money we'll be able to give the tzedakah, and his joy was returned. In that same town, a wealthy chassid, a wealthy follower, heard the same news, the Rebbe is coming to town. And at first he was very, very happy, and then he became a bit upset and despondent, and his wife said, well, what's happening? And he said, well, I'm happy the Rebbe's coming to town, but I have to give him 50 rubles. I have to give a big donation. It's expected of me. I have a lot of money. I just can't bear to see another 50 rubles go to waste. And the Rebbe said, whose contribution do you think is more valued? The small, meager contribution of the one who baked and sold just to be able to make this contribution? Or the contribution of the one who has a lot of money and gives with that sense of regret, or gives just to save face? He said it's the same thing with the mitzvah of bikurim, with the commandment of the first fruits. The farmer, the poor farmer, would say, I get to go to Jerusalem to bring first fruits. This is so exciting. But what am I going to bring those first fruits in? What kind of vessel? And his wife, the members of the household, would say, don't worry, we'll weave something for you. We'll create a beautiful basket for you. And in that, he would put the vessels. The wealthy person would say, okay, another season of planting, more first fruit. I have a lot of first fruits. What am I going to bring them in? I'm going to put them in a beautiful golden silver vessel. It's going to bring me pride. People are going to look at me and they're going to know this is so exciting. And then when it came time to go to the temple and the priests would receive the gifts, those golden silver vessels, they were returned to their owners. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. You can keep these. The fruits, that's what we want. The vessels, the bowls, that's not beloved. But when it came time for the poorer farmer to bring in the beautiful handmade woven vessel, that would be kept by the temple. That's part of the offering, they would say. This is part of the sacrifice, is when you had to dig down deep and find a way to give and find a way to bring dignity and honor to this gift, which by objective perspectives might be meager, but subjectively, looking at the individual, is actually quite significant. How one gives is not a measure of amount, is not a measure of dollar amount, it's not a measure of what one puts into it from a financial perspective, but what one puts into it from an emotional and a spiritual perspective. What's one's investment in life in charity, in education. It's not an objective me, one who gives more, one who gives less. It has to do with the degree to which one puts one's soul and heart into everything that we do and into every cent that we are blessed to give. I wish each and every one of you a Shabbat Shalom.